What's going on, everybody? My name is Carson Equals, and today I'm going to be giving you the rundown on Chapter 20, which involves the structure and function of animal tissue. So, some of the things we're going to be talking about today are the structural hierarchy in an animal begins with cells and tissues, whose forms correlate with their functions. An animal's form is not the perfect design. And lastly, does evolution lead to perfect animal form? So 20.1 we're going to be talking about an animal's form is not the perfect design. The giraffe's incredibly long laryngeal nerve travels from its brain down its neck, makes a U-turn around a major blood vessel in the chest called the aorta, and back up to its throat, where it connects to and stimulates the muscles of the throat that affect the giraffe's vocal sounds, breathing, and swallowing. So the question is, why does the laryngeal nerve make this 15-foot long journey? The answer to the question concerns evolution, specifically the mechanisms by which existing structures arise from previous structures. The surprising length of the laryngeal nerve illustrates a major concept in evolution. Through natural selection, a structure in an ancestral organism can be modified to function in a descendant organism. The early embryos of fish and tetrapods are highly similar, providing evidence of their shared ancestry. In vertebrate embryonic development, the laryngeal nerve connects the brain to a rudimentary structure that in fish will become the gills and in tetrapods will become the larynx. In those early embryos, the nerve hooks under the aorta. This is not problematic in fish because they do not have necks. The brain, aorta, and gills are relatively close together in the adult fish, but in tetrapods, the aorta ultimately ends up in the chest, quite a distance from the brain. The resulting adaptation in tetrapods is an elongated laryngeal nerve. But the question is, does evolution lead to the perfect animal? Indeed. The laryngeal nerve is about 3 feet long in humans and 5 times longer in giraffes. Scientists estimate that this nerve could have been more than 120 feet long in some long-necked dinosaurs. The laryngeal nerve, like all other animal structures, isn't perfect. It's just good enough to function. So for 20.2, structure fits function at all levels of organization in the animal body. When discussing structure and function, biologists distinguish anatomy from physiology. Anatomy is the study of the form of an organism's structures. Physiology is the study of the function of those structures. So, a biologist who is interested in anatomy might focus on the arrangement of muscles and bones in a giraffe's neck. A physiologist might study how a giraffe's muscles function. Despite their different approaches, both scientists are working toward a better understanding of the connection between structure and function, one of the unifying themes in biology. For the structural hierarchy of animals. So on the screen, part A shows the first structural level, a single cell. The main focus of the muscle cells of the giraffe's heart is to contract, and strands of proteins that form that function are precisely aligned. Each cell in the muscle is branched and connected to other cells in a way that ensures coordinated contractions of the muscle cells in the heart. Together, cells make up a tissue, which is part B, the second structural level. A tissue is an integrated group of similar cells that perform a common function. The cells of a tissue are specialized, and their structures enables them to perform a specific task. In this instance, coordinated contraction. Part C illustrates the organ level of the hierarchy. An organ is made up of two or more types of tissues that together perform a specific task. In addition to muscle tissue, the heart includes three other types of tissues: nervous, epithelial, and connective. Once again, we see an emergent property, the heart's ability to pump blood, resulting from the coordinated functioning of components of the previous level, the individual tissues. Part D shows an organ system. An organ system consists of multiple organs that together perform one or more vital body functions. The heart is a part of the circulatory system, along with blood and the blood vessels, arteries, veins, and capillaries. Lastly, in Part E, the organism's form of the final level of this hierarchy. An organism contains a number of organ systems, each specialized for certain tasks and all functioning together as an integrated, coordinated unit. The circulatory system of the giraffe cannot function without oxygen supplied by the respiratory system, and nutrients supplied by the digestive system. In fact, it takes the coordination of the several other organ systems, each relying on the emergent properties of cells, tissues, and organs, to enable this animal to reach for and eat high leaves and trees. Tissues are groups of cells with a common structure and function. In almost all animals, the cells of the body are organized into tissues. The word tissue comes from the Latin word meaning weave, and several tissues, such as the connective tissue beneath the skin, resemble woven cloth consisting of non-living fibers and living cells. Your body is built of four main types of tissues: epithelial, connective, muscle, and lastly, nervous. So in this slide, you can see we're talking about the types of epithelial tissue. Image A, the simple squamous epithelium, is in charge of lining the air sacs of the lungs. B, the simple cuboidal epithelium, is in charge of forming a tube in the kidney. Part C, the simple columnar epithelium, lines the intestines. D, the stratified squamous epithelium, is lining the esophagus. Each is in charge of its own function, but in turn, they all work together. In this slide, we're going to be talking about the types of connective tissues. So, the first part is part A, which is called the loose connective tissue. B, the fibrous connective tissue. C, the adipose tissue, which actually is in charge of storing fat in large, closely packed adipose cells held in a very sparse matrix of loose fibers and fluid. This tissue pads and insulates the body and stores energy. Each adipose cell contains a large fat droplet that swells when fat is stored and shrinks when fat is used as fuel. Part D is consisted of the cartilage, E, bone, F, blood. Types of muscle tissues. Muscle tissue is the most abundant tissue in nearly all animals. It consists of long cells called muscle fibers, each containing many molecules of contractile proteins. So in the image you can see part A is the skeletal muscle. It is attached to bones by tendons and is responsible for voluntary movements of the animal body, such as hopping in kangaroos and flying in birds. Part B is the cardiac muscle, which forms the contractile tissue of the heart, an organ consisting of mostly muscle. Part C is the smooth muscle. It gets its name from its lack of striations. Smooth muscle is found on the wall of the digestive tract, arteries, and other internal organs. It is responsible for involuntary body activities such as the movement of food through the intestines. For our last topic we're going to be covering is the nervous tissue. Nervous tissue senses stimuli and rapidly transmits information. Nervous tissue is found in the brain and spinal cord, as well as in the nerves that transmit signals throughout the body. Alright everybody, I appreciate y'all watching my video. I hope that y'all were able to take something away from it. Here's my works cited, and I hope everybody has a safe and relaxing rest of the summer.